Hi there, my name is William Bird, and this is the next session we're going to be doing on Chat with a GP. And this is about seasonal blues. Now, I'm not sure if some of you just feel a bit weary in the winter or just get down a bit, or wondering even if you've got seasonal affective disorder. And that's what this is going to be about. All the evidence that we need to know about whether the down feeling that we all get, particularly in January and February, is real, whether it's perceived. Is there a disease? Have you got this thing called seasonal affective disorder? So as usual, we're going to look at the evidence and be able to work through what is going on. So let's start. Seasonal blues is actually seasonal affective disorder. That's the official title for it. And it's always when there's light is getting shorter and we're getting these longer nights. And particularly as you go up into the northern latitudes, you find this is getting more and more of a problem. So funnily enough, you don't get it so much in the southern hemisphere, down in the kind of areas of New Zealand and Australia, but very much in the north, particularly Scotland, particularly Canada, and the northern Europe. So what is it? And what can we actually say is the definition? Well, it's part of a depression. So the real seasonal affective disorder isn't just those blues. It's actually something a bit more than that. Yes, of course, it occurs in winter. But to get the definition, you have to be completely fine by the time you get to the spring and in the summer. The symptoms also have got to be for 2 years consecutively. So not just a bad year that you've had, it's got to be over the second year. And it doesn't affect so many people. Depression, unfortunately, affects about 20% of us at any one time, but only 3% of the population get this true, what's called SAD, seasonal affective disorder. So what are the depressions of depression? Because as I've just said, this is part of depression. So feeling low, yes, feeling guilty or hopeless, those are kind of emotions that people often don't associate with depression. But of course, the low energy, the poor sleep, the loss of interest in everything, all your hobbies, all the people you want to go and meet, you just don't want to do any of that. You're really, really kind of going right down, closing down. This is a sickness behavior. It's been designed to keep us to get better. And of course, depression is something affecting so many people. It also, you get more diagnosis in the winter than the summer, but it doesn't mean it's a seasonal affective disorder. It just seems that we get those diagnoses made in the winter. So it does affect us in every aspect of our lives. So what makes it different to when it's seasonal affective disorder? Well, you sleep a lot. Now you might think, well, that's me. You know, when it comes to winter, I'm always asleep. I'm always feeling tired. You know, I wake up and it's dark and I go to come back from work and it's dark and you just feel miserable. But this is a real kind of tiredness where you feel you really can't get yourself together. There's this cravings for carbohydrates. Okay, chocolate, cake, biscuits. Surprise, surprise. You think, well, again, that's me. And again, in the winter, we do tend to kind of eat more things. But this is an extreme where you put on a lot of weight, you feel incredibly tired, and you just feel all those other symptoms as well of depression that all add up to this real miserable feeling. And of course, as we said, it gets better completely by the time you get to spring and summer. So what's happening? Well, in the body, you've got this clock that goes on. Actually, if you don't have any light, your endogenous, that means your kind of clock in the middle of you, right in the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN as it's called, in the middle of the brain, that goes on for about 25 hours. If you left someone in a cell which is completely dark, they would think the daytime is getting further and further ahead. You know, they would think in the first day it would be 8 o'clock in the morning, then it would be 9 o'clock, then it would be 10 o'clock, then it'd be 11. In other words, we can't keep our time exact unless we have light to actually refresh the kind of the clockwork that's going on inside us. So if we find that those evenings and mornings are getting longer in darkness, then some people can't reset it. There's not enough light coming down in the winter to be able to reset it. Hence, you need artificial light. So it's only a certain number of people, and therefore their clock gets later and later and later, and it starts to cause problems of depression. So that's how this light therapy kind of really works. What you need is about 10,000 lux. You'll see that on these light therapies as well, and I'll go through a few of them in a minute. But you can do something different. You can actually just, instead of having those for about 20, 30 minutes or even an hour in the morning, same time every morning, you can actually just have a clock that gives you a light that's lower intensity, 250 to 300 lux. And then that light slowly wakes you up. And you can actually sense light through your eyelids. So you can still be asleep and see this. Of course, you can get outside. That is the cheap way of doing it by getting outside every morning, because you may find the windows are not quite helping in getting enough light to your body. Go outside, same time. Even if it's miserable, that light coming through the cloud will make a big difference. So what are they? Well, there used to be great big light boxes. I remember when we first started, they were like X-ray kind of viewing boxes, and you had these clunky things on your desk. Now they're really much neater. You can have them while you're sitting at your desk. You can actually be using them when you're working as well. Have them for the same time, but they are bright, and you have to have them pretty close. So these are all geared for 12 centimeters, 15 centimeters at 10,000 lux. Yeah, you can go a bit further away, but the further away, it rapidly drops. They're the other ones, the Philips one and the Barrow one, wake-up lights. They're the ones that are much lower intensity, but they do work. They slowly get your body to think that it's daytime, and it reconnects that clock back again to making sure it's every 24 hours. There are other treatments. So antidepressants, yeah, they do work. I mean, if you can avoid them by doing the light and the exercise and other things and eating well and being outdoors, then that's great. But if you really are struggling, then see your GP, and you may find that an SSRI, which is the Prozac, Seroxat, others, they may be the things. Cognitive behavioral therapy is good as well. And actually that helps to prevent the relapse as well. Just out of interest, the SSRI is exactly the same as light box therapy. No difference between the two. So actually, if you can do the light box, you don't have to take tablets. Great, that's fantastic. Melatonin, no, it doesn't really work. Vitamin D, people get a bit muddled or confused about vitamin D. Yes, that's very important in winter. We need light to make vitamin D, but that doesn't really have anything to do with this seasonal affective disorder. That is very, very different. So just to say, there are other things that go wrong in the winter as well. And joint pain. People with arthritis find that joint pain is much worse during the winter than it is during the summer. So generally, we can feel quite low with all the pains and the aches, etc. So let's just quickly go through this. Don't forget, is only a 10-minute, and we're going to cover a subject which does take up a lot of time. But let's just quickly go through. First of all, it's real. So there is a real diagnosis. If you feel a bit low, a bit gloomy, a bit fed up, that's probably not seasonal affective disorder. That is just feeling low. This is a depression. It really is a depression. Cakes and chocolate, that's the carbohydrate cravings, which gets really out of hand, and you find your weight ballooning during the winter with seasonal affective disorder and many other things. And you feel so tired. You feel really, really tired. And then if you get light seems to make a massive difference. You seem to find that the light really does help, and it's as good as medication. But so is talking therapy, and of course, get outside if you can. Get out and look at that light. Get out same time every morning. Make sure you just sort of look up, see the clouds, get the light in, and if nothing else works, then it's medication. Don't forget, winter can be very beautiful. So don't feel you're indoors and having to kind of cope with all these things. Just get out. When there are days like this, that can make you feel a lot better. Now, don't forget, we do this every week, 1:30 on a Wednesday. So I just want to make sure that you're up to the next time, which is going to be about children. What is it that we look out for as GPs to see an ill child? I've been GP for loads of time, 35 years. I think it's about 330,000 patients, I think I estimated. But I get very good, and so do my colleagues, about saying that is an ill child, that's an okay child. So I'm going to go through those two key things to look out for to know whether your child is ill or whether they're okay. That's what we'll cover next Wednesday. Everything can be seen on our Intelligent Health website. Thank you very much for listening. Really kind of you, and see you next week.